Hello and welcome to another fabulous episode of Experts Eating Cake, where I, Michelle Thomas, get to eat cake with my favourite experts. And today I've got the fabulous Bree Fox. She's a really great friend of mine. She's an incredible lifestyle coach who works on all parts of your life, not just one or two, but all parts of your life and business. And it makes it impossible for you not to achieve your goals. Come on, lady, where the hell are you?
Hey.
Yay!
Right.
Oh, you're my favourite. You're my favourite. I really love you.
Oh, it did it.
Oh, I did it. Oh my God, we're going to get balloons and all sorts on this.
I'll keep my hands down. I'll try and not be so handy.
Well, you're going to have to get your hands out because we're going to have to be eating cake. Now, the good thing about Bree is we are a perfect fit. She makes cakes. I eat cakes. Can you see the connection here now? We talk a lot about cakes as well, amongst other things.
Do.
So, without further ado, let's have a look at the cake situation at your house.
Okay, so I've brought two cakes, obviously.
Just in.
So there's a chocolate brownie with like a drizzle thing on it.
Oh.
And then there's like your very nice typical cream bun with jam on. So yeah, I didn't know which one I wanted, so I got both.
So you didn't make your cake today, you bought your cake instead?
I bought my cake today, yeah, I did buy my cake.
That's fair enough. I mean, you do make fabulous cakes. You're always sending me pictures of them. I'm sitting there.
That one this morning was from like years ago, and so many people have now seen it, and I'm like, no, I haven't made that today.
Good chocolate cake. Right, this is my offering.
What have you got?
I've got a cookie dough, biscuit, coffee, cupcake.
Ah, interesting. I nearly got a cookie sandwich. They've started doing them in one of the shops around here, and it's like 2 cookies with something in the middle of it. It looked nice, but I was like, I don't want to crumble cake ever.
Why not?
I didn't want the cookie and the cream to like go everywhere and the jam and these.
Yeah, but you bought cream and jam. I'm not.
Yeah, but they're easy to just shovel in, aren't they? They don't break apart.
Which one are you going to eat first?
I'm going to try the chocolate one because I don't know what it tastes like.
Is it just a regular brownie or is it a different kind of brownie?
I think it said it was just a normal brownie. Mm-hmm. Probably won't be as good as mine.
Probably not. Probably not. Well, my cake was from the boy across the road. He's one of my best friend's son. And I don't know what it was, that something to do with opening an account or something. And he needed somebody that was not in his family to write him a letter. So I wrote him a letter. And he came over and he bought me a box of cupcakes. It was absolutely gorgeous. And I've since then, that was a couple of days ago, and since then I've been, I spent a lot of time sniffing it.
Waiting for today.
It smells really nice. I've been sniffing it. Oh, it smells so good. Right, come on, let's do cheers. Ooh. Cheers. It's got a biscuit in the middle of it.
Is that the cookie?
Yeah, it's got a biscuit in the middle.
That's cool.
That's unusual.
Well, that's actually quite nice, that.
Very sweet. I'm going to have one more bite. Yeah, pretty good, but I bet not as good as your cakes. Actually, I've had your cakes before.
That brownie's quite nice.
What about the other one? Are you going to have a bite of the other one, or are you saving that for later?
I think I'm going to save that one now because this brownie's better than I thought it was going to be. So I think I'm going to finish the brownie and I'll have the donut later.
Okay, you won't get a chance because you'll be flapping your chops the whole time. Now, I know Bree quite well. We spend a lot of time chatting. She's the person that I go to when I need to put my head on straight. And I'm the person that she comes to when she needs to put her head on straight. And we speak the same language. We talk a lot about habits, routines, health, energy, fitness, everything to do with making your life better. And I like to come at it from a very brainy, thoughtful kind of way, but Bree likes to come at it from a very active kind of way.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that when we first met and we had lots of conversations, we spent a whole day together. One of the things that really struck me, and something that you mentioned that really struck me and really made me think and really resonated with me, was this idea of when you look after yourself and you create habits and routines and around self-care and self-love, and your health, I think a lot of people kind of forget that when you have children, so if you're a parent, you can actually create these habits with your children. It's not just you yourself. It can be a family thing, and it can be a fun thing. And I never really thought of it in that respect. And it really struck a chord with me, because when I think about it, I've only got one kid. You've got 3.
I do,
God bless you. So I think this is more imperative for you than it is for me, because you can't do anything without your kids when you've got 3 of them hanging around. But I think sometimes it's about, if you have kids, you want to pass things on to them. You want to pass really good things on to them so that they can have a great life. And you show by example. And when you incorporate that into your lifestyle and you incorporate them into your lifestyle, it builds a fantastic connection, and it creates a legacy as well. And it's absolutely beautiful to see. It's one of the things that really has been resonating in my head ever since I met you, the way that you actually do things.
I love that stuck with you. Like, I didn't realize it like made such an impact on like what you remembered. That's amazing.
And for me, when I look at what you do, yes, it's about, creating good habits, and how do you do it, and how do you break things into smaller things and routines and stuff. But underneath all of that, what I see is the heart of a big heart of a mom who just wants the best for her kids, and who really wants to put that out in the world so that everybody else can have much better relationships, not just with their kids, but also with the way that they look after themselves and teach their kids to do better as well. And I see that again and again and again and again. And it's one of the things that I love about you. And it's one of the things that I believe that you're an expert in. So this is the clever, magical layer of Bree Fox in her coaching. So tell me a little bit about the work that you do, because you've had you've basically got lots of different parts of your life that you've brought together in one. Explain to us what it is that you've done and how you've come to be a lifestyle coach.
Oh gosh, how much time have we got? Am I joking? I'll do the short version. So growing up, always really sporty, hence probably the hoodie now. Really sporty. I was a sports coach at an early age, really loved fitness, really loved doing every activity at school I could. Became a sports coach for a while. Then I had I started my family, started quite young. I had 3 kids under 3.5. And I had my last child between my first and second year at uni that I went to as a mature student. So sports and fitness, always been really athletic. Like street and hip hop dancing, basketball is my absolute passion. I love it. That's my favorite sport. I still play it now.
Bruises to prove it.
Oh, I get bruises every week. If I don't get a bruise, I've not worked hard enough. Because I play in a men's league, a predominantly men's league as well. So this is why I come off with so many bruises. Just to explain that I don't just get beaten up at basketball. And my degree was in psychology. I love all things to do with the brain, neuroscience, the way it develops, all the neurological shifts and all that kind of stuff. I love it. And I've always been really intrigued from such a young age, of why people behave the way they do. Like, why do people choose to do this? So kind of fast forward, I've worked in behaviour units with children, young people. I've worked in a lot of secondary schools. I've worked in mental health, qualified PT and fitness instructor. So I've done lots of things, lots of self-development. I'm probably a bit of a self-development queen. Like, I love self-development. I kind of stopped signing up for courses now. I'm going to step back and go, you don't need to learn anything more just now, Bree. Like, share it with the world. And that's kind of where I've got to. I had a bit of an epiphany like a couple of years ago. I was like, I'm not happy where I'm working. I felt quite restricted in, work, and I wanted to work for myself. Also a little bit neurodiverse, so that has an impact on how I want to work and why I want to work for myself. So I kind of bundled everything together. So what I do is I've classed it as lifestyle coach, because I think that's the kind of broadish, nichest way I can kind of say what I do. So I look at people's mindset, I look at their overall health, their fitness, but not in terms of let's all get a 6-pack. It's more about what can you do in your day to move a little bit more so we've got longevity. What can we do with our children to show them that exercise is not the devil, because there's so many, particularly girls, hate PE, don't want to do it, they've got tummy aches. And I was always the girl at school like, yes, PE day, loved it. But there's so many people who try to bolt out of it, and what you do when you're younger really makes an impact on when you're older. Like, even what I do now is going to impact how well I move as a 70, 80-year-old Bree. You know, it's funny, I was talking to them about the other day, and we're talking about the such important of being able to do a squat, and they were like, why? And I was like, you know, being able to do this is for this, and we're talking about lifting weights possibly, or a band or something. Like, why would you do that? So you can reach a tin of beans out your cupboard when you're 80 years old and still be independent. Everything we do now, and this is why I'm so passionate about it, is because what we do now in our 30s and 40s and whatnot will give us the tools, the strength, and the body movement and the mindset to keep going and to live a life longer of independence, rather than, you know, look at my nana, bless her, she's 82 and she can't walk unaided. I don't want to be an 82-year-old where I can't walk unaided. So it's for both. It's for future Bree and for future, you know, future you, where you're going to be, where you want to be, having time freedom, and, you know, having that as mom's guilt-free me time, you know, not feeling bad. But it's also about, like you said earlier, the word legacy. It's leaving that legacy with my children so that they can then be independent and free from pain and restriction, and not being able to run around after their kids if they choose to have them. And, you know, and it's that ripple effect, because what I instill in my children, if they can see me do it, but they can then do it with me, that's even better. Like monkey see, monkey do. They're like sponges, and they soak it up from us. And I just think, yes, you can be a role model, but sometimes it's not enough. Like, you just doing it isn't always enough. You know, but if they can do it with you, you can build those habits. And before they even realize it, you know, like my daughter, she could do push-ups at such a little age because she could see me do it. And I hate push-ups, but she loves a push-up, you know. And, you know, the kids are quite sporty, and I love that they're sporty, and, you know, that they're aware of things, how to, I mean, they're not very good at organizing, bless them, but they understand why organization is important. And, like, I, you know, do meal prepping with them, and they help me to make their pots, and, you know, then it makes their mornings easy. And it's all about making the least amount of barriers for us, so we can have not an easy life, but, like, in the morning, nobody wants to get out of bed, nobody wants to go to school, nobody wants to do anything. So removing those barriers and having their pots of fruit in little pots so they can just grab and go, like a little buffet thing, it makes their morning easier. So then their mood's better. So then they improve, they work better at school. And it is this ripple effect of just making these tiny little changes in our lives that can just make you feel so much better about your life.
Yeah. And when they're small and when they're easy, that's the thing that makes it impossible not to achieve. Because you're constantly achieving with every tiny little thing that you do. It's funny you should mention about getting the kids out and doing things with them. You inspired me to do so. I'll tell you this. It's a bit of a shit show. I'm sorry I'm swearing on my own program here. But Isaac, what I want to do with Isaac, he's very much not what's the word I'm thinking of? It's not that he's not active. He's not very confident in terms of his physicality and moving and things like that. Very, very much like I was. And I try not to be that anymore. I try to get myself out there and doing things that actually feel good to me and that help me with my health and my movement. So I'm teaching him this. But he's a bit hesitant. He's a bit reticent. And at the beginning of the year, I says, what I'd like to do is, I don't like running. You don't like running, but doing a little bit every day will actually make a difference. Let's see if we can challenge ourselves. And I think it lasted about a week. But then the weather got really rubbish, and it was
it's been grim.
But we did literally a lap around the block. So it was about 700 steps. And if we could run that once, that was it. That was good enough. And I said, think of it. Every day you do it, by the end of the year, you'll be running around that like it was nothing. You might find it hard now, but you won't find it hard later on because you're building up your strength. So you only have to do one. It's not like I'm asking you to run a mile. It's like and he struggled with that as well, bless him. So we're going to try and get back into that. I don't think he likes it, and I am determined to make him like it.
Even if you just rewind it back a little bit and just say you're going to do it twice a week, and then build up to doing it every day, because then it makes it even easier to do. Because as long as he does it as long as you do it twice, for example, you know, then it's done, isn't it? And then once you've built up that, this is getting easier, or the weather's getting nice, because it's a bit lighter now as well, which helps. You know, it just you know, you could say every day, but you could just draw it back to say, well, let's just start off twice a week, and we'll do that for a few weeks, and then we'll up it eventually to every day.
I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to give it a go. The weather's getting a little bit warmer. Let's hope that big freeze that they've been talking about for the last few years doesn't actually jump on us.
I don't do the cold well. I'm such a nesh.
Me neither. So, can you then, right? So we talked about habits, we talked about lifestyle, we talked about creating that legacy, and you've brought all of this together now. So tell us a little bit about the way that your business is structured and how you actually help people.
So my business is structured very much as a one-to-one at the minute. So I work quite closely with you individually to work through what it is, because no two people, even if you're siblings, will have the same, issues or problems or barriers. Everyone is genuinely uniquely different. I'm not going to, my head's whizzing with why that is the reason, but we don't need to know why the reason is. So what I do is I work one-to-one. I do have an online fitness class as well. So what I do is I have an online fitness class, which is a membership, and people can join in the morning. If you can't join live, you can watch the replay and you can do the workout. It's like a half an hour workout in your own home. You can do it in your PJs if you want. I've done it in my PJs before. And it's just to get you moving. It's nothing too intense. It's you against you. Cameras can be off, and that's one thing I do. I also run a physical after school club. So like I do basketball sessions in primary schools around where I am. That's more the physical stuff. And then in terms of like the lifestyle coaching, what we do is we sit down and we really look at every aspect of your life. Sometimes clients will come to me and say, oh, I think it's this. And it really isn't that. It's something completely different, which I'm sure you've experienced when people come to you for coaching as well. And what we do is then we try and look at, where you are, where you want to be, what steps can we do to get there? What kind of, not sacrifices, but what commitments are you willing to make? Because I've got a quote that I kind of use quite a lot, and it's like the only thing that's constant is change. Okay. And if you're not willing to change, nothing will change. So, you've got to make something somewhere, and it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be huge. A lot of my coaching is breaking down like misconceptions about what they have to do, or how it has to be, because, there's a lot of, especially for like our age group and stuff like that, there's a lot of old kind of preconceptions that they feel they've got to do, or there's the new stuff and then information gets conflicting and it's a bit confusing. So a lot of it is really kind of digesting and spreading out what it is that people have consumed and go, well, actually, this is not right, or this isn't correct, or this is right for you, but that's not right for somebody else. And them understanding the differences between everybody, like you say, you've got one child and I've got 3 children. The way that I run my house will be different to the way that you run yours. And if I had one child, I'm sure I would not be running my home the same way that I do with 3 children, because I wouldn't need to.
3 children and 2 dogs, for God's sake.
I've got 2 and the border collies as well, so they're quite active dogs themselves. And I'm very active. I play basketball a couple of times a week. My kids have activities. One boxes, one does football. So we are a very active family. So organisation for me has to be on point. But if I had one kid who didn't really have an activity, for example, it'd be a lot more chill, I'm sure. But do you know what I mean? So it's like, what works for me wouldn't necessarily work for you or work for somebody else that I speak to. And vice versa. It's trying to find what works for them and what is going to benefit their life in the way that they need it, because we all have different goals as well. Somebody might just want to be slightly more organized in the morning, and we can do that over a period of time by setting up new little habits, doing some habit stacking and things like that, really practical things to put in place, whilst working on the mindset to get those things in place and understanding why they're not working. And, it's a whole approach of everything. It's not just well, I want this, and I go, all right, well, we'll just do that then. It's right, but why do you want to do this? How are we going to get there? And it's really thinking deeper, because,
and looking at other things that can support doing that thing.
Definitely. Better. Because I'm a single parent, but there are, and my children are slightly older now, but when they was a bit younger and I was a bit younger, like when their dad was around, it'd be like, right, can you do this and I'll do that? And it's using the people that are in your system. And sometimes you don't have anybody in your system, and that's fine. But it's also then making sure you find the time for yourself in whichever way we can with what you've got, so that you still get that you time, because the you time is so important. They've probably heard this before, but you can't give from an empty cup. If you're constantly giving, if you're not filling it up, then you've got nothing left to give. You're going to burn out. Then you're maybe going to turn into a bit of a ratty mum. Then you're going to be really hard on yourself because you don't want to speak to your kids that way. And, it's that big, massive spiral looming effect. And it's chopping that off at the head and going, right, well, what can I do? What can I control? What am I, able to change in my daily life to make me feel that little bit better? one of the biggest misconceptions, if you don't mind, is the difference between rest and recovery. They are two different things. If you're resting and you're on your phone or you're watching TV or you're kind of like thinking about what needs to be done, you're still not resting. You're just pausing. Do you know what I mean? You're kind of in limbo. Resting is where you are completely resting and you are relaxing. Recovering is where you fill your cup back up and you do something that makes you feel good. So there's a difference between the two. And this, again, it's the misconception of what these words mean in everyday life that I have to like kind of debunk and try and help women to be like, all right, okay, so that's not resting. But then also not feel guilty for having their own recovery.
Yes.
Like I feel bad sometimes on a Friday. I train with the team on a Friday and my daughter will often ask, can I come and watch you, mum? And I'm like, no, sweetheart, this is just for me because I need this time for me so that I can, you know, fill myself up and feel better and just be Bree, because it's hard when you're a mum constantly and you're trying to run a business and everything else. So yeah, that's kind of what I help people.
And I think the other thing you're doing is teaching your daughter that it's okay to do that, and that when she comes to a time in her life when she needs to take some of that time for her recovery, she'll be able to do it without feeling any kind of guilt or shame that we're generally conditioned to feel.
Yeah,
it's terrible. It's terrible.
It's awful. Yeah,
it stops us from claiming what's rightfully ours. I mean, I talk to quite a lot of people about self-care, and one of the ways that I like to look at it is turn it on its head a little bit. So a lot of people think self-care is finding the time, taking out the slivers of time for you to claim back and do the things that actually fill your cup and make you be the person who you want to be and help you with your health. No, you wake up in the morning, you open your eyes as a human being in this world. You have the next 24 hours potentially to actually live your life. And in that next 24 hours, before you find yourself in this position again, every single minute of every single second of every single minute of that day is yours to do with what you will. If you want to lie in that bed all freaking day, you can do that. Literally, nobody can make you do anything otherwise. So you claim back right at the beginning of the day what is rightfully yours and what is important. For me, my happiness, the way that I show up for the world is important. My health, the way that I feel in my body is important. So I'm starting with that. I'm not going out giving all my time and energy to everybody else. I'm starting with that. It's like, what can I do to help that along and to get that motor going so that when I do give to people, it comes from a far better place and I've got far more energy to give and my cup is so much fuller and it's overflowing. And this is why one of the biggest reasons that I spill out. That's what I do. I spill out on a day-to-day basis. And if you don't see me for a little bit, it's usually because I've got no spilling out to do that particular day, you know.
And that's okay too. And that's absolutely okay too. We can't be on it all the time. You know, we do need those times to fill back up sometimes. And you can do little things throughout the day where you can keep it going, you know, like whether you want to do a 5-minute meditation or a journal or go for a quick walk around the block or just sit and have a cup of tea without looking at your phone or whatever it is that helps you feel better. And that's the other thing about self-care. I think sometimes people think it's all about spas and stuff. And yes, they are wonderful for people who like them, you know, but we don't always need that level of stuff to get there. Do you know what I mean? If it's something that you enjoy and you like and you can do it, absolutely put it into your timetable and your schedule. If it's not, if you're doing it because you think you should do it, it's probably not the right thing for you anyway. You know, going for a hike might be the thing you want to do. Having a nap, I love a nana nap. Oh my god, give me a nap in an afternoon any day. That, yes, please. Like, you know, there's lots of different things we can do that are about self-care that aren't all singing and dancing. And that is eating properly. That is drinking regularly to make sure you're not dehydrated. Letting yourself go to the bathroom rather than saying, oh, I've got too much work to do. Having a movement break every hour between doing what you're doing. All those things are self-care too, but people just don't recognize it as that because it's like, well, why are you doing that? Why are you doing this? Well, no, we need to do those things. Our brain needs
human beings in human bodies. Biology.
We're not human doings. We're, like you say, we're human beings. So
yeah, I think the other thing that we need to remember as well, and I think it's something that you like to do a lot of work around, is the fact that yes, we have a physical body and our health is majorly important. And yes, we can, you know, get good sleep and nourish ourselves and hydrate and all of that stuff. But there's places where energy can leak, even if you're doing all that brilliantly.
Yeah,
And this comes off the back of a conversation that we had recently. I sleep really well. I drink lots of water. What am I doing wrong? I still feel like rubbish. And sometimes it's not necessarily that part of your body. Sometimes it's the energy and the emotion and the mental part of your body that's leaking the energy all over the place. And that's a lot harder to get a grasp of, believe it or not. It's a lot harder to get hold of your mental health and your emotional health than it is your physical health, despite the fact that the two actually interconnect. So when you support your physical health, you're supporting your mental and emotional health. But sometimes that needs a little bit of an extra focus, if you like. And I think that's where, forming those habits, not just in your health, but in the way that you approach things, forming your habits in the way that you speak to yourself, the way that you think, the way that you react, the way that you connect with other people, the dynamics that you have, the way that you stop and take a pause is absolutely vital to making sure that energy, that cup of energy actually gets filled up. Flipping love. I could talk about this literally all day. Can't you tell? So you talked about some misconceptions. What about some of the things that have surprised you? Because you've done such a lot. Your journey has been many and varied, and you've been picking up blocks along the way to add to this repertoire of this holistic way of looking at things. So what kind of things have surprised you along the way?
Things that surprised me the most is how I've taken for granted what I see as common knowledge isn't. And it is I think social media can be quite dangerous when it comes to certain stuff, making things look all very aesthetically pleasing and lovely and all the rest of it. And that almost shames women into thinking they should be doing more, things should be like this. And it's just really not. I love the other side of social media where you have got women being very honest about things and whatnot. But when it comes to like coaching people, it's very often, I mean, I suppose it's not surprising because it happens quite a lot. Like I say, they'll come in thinking it's one thing and it's a completely different thing. And a lot of it is tied to our emotions and to previous experiences that if you've never been on a healing journey or you've never accessed therapy or you've never kind of gone through those things, you don't know. And there's a saying, you don't know what you don't know. And that's where like a coach like you or I, depending on, what they want, will come in and you can see things that they can't. And I very much taken for granted. I just think people know what I know.
Yeah.
They don't. And things that I would class as like I say, what I would class as common knowledge really isn't. And this is why, another reason why I'm really trying to push for this, because I know things that people don't, just like people know things that I don't. But I've really realized that there's such a gap in knowledge and support for women as well. You see all these like women supporting women, things like that. But we'll still go out now and you can see women not supporting each other, not being there for each other. And I really want to build a community of women who are there for each other, whether it's good, bad, ugly, or indifferent. It's knowing that you're in a safe space. So like I say, one of the things off my head, and it's only because I had a conversation with somebody yesterday about this, we were talking about food, nutrition. I don't want to use the word diet again because people think diet means cutting down, and diet is actually just the food you intake. So nutrition, I was saying, if I wanted, women don't generally eat enough protein. It's one of the, a lot of women will cut carbs out. We actually really need carbs for our hormonal health. And it can fluctuate between our cycle, but we do need them. But protein is one of the things that a lot of women don't eat a lot of, or they don't eat enough of. And I was saying, if I wanted to increase my protein in my diet for a period of time, I would look at how many calories there were. Say there's 100 calories in a snack. In my head, if I want that to be high protein, I want the number to be 10% of that number. So I'm looking for 10 grams of protein. And these women were like, what? And I was like, that to me is a high protein snack. If I'm
Come on, tell us what the high protein snack is, because your high protein snack is the exact same protein snack as mine is. And I was like, woo woo, when you told me this, because this is exactly what I do. Go on, tell them what the high protein snack of choice is.
Corned beef. Corned beef. So you can buy like corned beef slices. Actually, it's actually a little bit more than that. So I think the calories are about 110 calories, but the protein's actually like 14 grams of fat. So it's
for
even
two
higher
slices.
percentage.
For two
Yeah,
slices.
2 slices is about 14 grams of protein and about 100 and odd calories. So in my head, that's a good high protein snack to munch on.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, 2 slices of corned beef. So it's just things like that. And I take that for granted, but I've gone through that. I've done courses, I've lived it. A lot of my experience is lived experience. A lot of my knowledge that I share is lived knowledge. Like I have tried and I have failed, or I've tried and I've succeeded, or I've worked with people and they've tried and it's worked, or it hasn't worked, we've tweaked it. And this is where the experience comes in and the knowledge. Like I've been a coach, I've been working with children and kids for over 20 years. In some capacity, whether that's sports, whether that's personal, whether I've always been in this mentoring kind of capacity and coaching capacity for a really, really long time. So I think for me it's surprising how little some people know, but likewise there's lots of things I don't know about, and I forget that sometimes, and that does kind of give me that shock of realization time and time again when I speak to certain people. I go, oh, and they go, what? And I go, oh, I'm sorry. And because likewise I'm not one to want to try and patronize anybody, so I don't go into too much detail initially, because I think, oh, they'll know this, or I don't want them to feel like I'm teaching just okay, because I'm coming across as some sort of condescending person, because I'm really conscious about that as well. And often they're like, can you tell me more? And I'm like, oh yeah, of course I can. Do you know what I mean? So that's
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. I'm feeling it right here. Right. So you mentioned about creating a community, and that's something that you have recently done on Facebook. It was just a very organic, natural way of doing it. You wanted some sort of accountability. You wanted to create a group where people could actually come and cheer each other on. And state what they want to do, where they are in life, and help and support each other. And I think it's lovely. I joined that, obviously. I need to keep an eye on Bree. But I joined that, and the thing that I get out of it is, especially in a fast-paced lifestyle, especially when you've got literally fingers in 10 different pies and you're wearing the hats and spinning the plates at the same time, you struggle, and I know a lot of people will relate to this, you struggle to stop and appreciate what it is that you've done. You struggle and stop to remember what is important. And when somebody asks a question as in, what 3 things are you going to do today, or what's on the agenda for the week, or what is your win this week, I will generally not stop myself and answer that question. But the fact that I'm in your group and it crops up whilst I'm on social media, it crops up for me, and it does make me stop and think. And for me, that builds a much deeper appreciation, not just for myself as a human being, but also that the work that I do. And I'm all for celebrating other people, but I need to celebrate me first. And this is a great tool to do that.
I find women in general, but women in business as well, when we're running our own businesses, we don't stop to see how far we've come. And we downplay a lot of our success. Like I did it literally the other week. I was like, I don't really feel like I've done anything in my business this week. I'd set up a CIC. Of course I've done something in my business. But I'm just like, oh yeah, I've done it, move on. And as women, because we've got quite a lot to do, and generally we are the ones who carry most of the domestic labor, most of the childcare, things like that. We carry the mental workload for the household. Usually,
unless you've got an Alan.
Unless you've got an Alan, because he's amazing. But and I'm not saying all of this is like this, but obviously I'm a single mum, so I carry the workload for everybody. Even when my kids go to their dads, I'm carrying the workload of, have you got this? Have you got that? Have you got the other? So it's almost like we don't get the time to just go, oh wow, I've done this week, and having that regular kind of check-in. So like in the group, it's called Women in Business Accountability Group, I think I've called it.
We'll pop the link down below.
Yeah, it literally says what it says what it does on the tin. And every day I'll put a post in and we'll be like, right, has anybody got any deadlines today? Has anybody got something specifically that they need kind of maybe a kick up the bum for, that they need to go, I've not done this, but I will do, and then come back to tell us they've done it. And then at the end of the week, but it's just good because you've typed it. And the thing is, if you get it out of your head and written down somewhere in a group, on a piece of paper, whatever, there's also an extra process element to that as well, because your brain's had to go through the processing and the actual using of the neurons and the firing and all that lot, and it makes it more apparent in your head. So when you're working throughout the day, you can have that niggle of, I've got something to do, and it's because you've written it down. It's because you've got it out of your head. So then at the end, I call it the wow. So like wins of the week. So then we go in and we say what we've done that week, which is a win. And it could be literally, I survived the day. I had a poorly kid off school and I still managed to send one email. Amazing.
Or it could
well
be,
done.
I've eaten cake 5 times this week.
Well done. You have done an amazing
10.
turn. That's what I'm saying. Like, it could be literally anything. Like, I had my daughter off school last week. She'd had an accident the evening before at football. She had the day off. I had so many things on that day, and I managed to rejig some of them, juggle them around. But I got through that day, and I managed to still be present for my daughter. Getting the stuff done is great, but being present for my daughter, that's probably my biggest win of that day, and giving her the safety and the comfort and what she needed to recover. So like I say, some days it's just I got out of bed, because we all have times where we're where we find it hard. I had a really bad migraine on Monday. I was wiped out all of Monday, stayed in bed till about lunchtime, and I was glad that I managed to get out of bed at 1 o'clock and get dressed and have a slice of toast. That was my win for the day, because that was my 100%. People go, I'm not giving 100%. If you getting out of bed is your 100%, you gave 100% that day. 100% look different, and that's probably something, I don't know if you're going to mention it, but consistency is something that I'd like to talk about, because that is one of the biggest misunderstood words ever in the business that I run.
Are you going to use that as your golden nugget then? Because I was going to ask you about your golden nugget.
Yeah, do you know what we can do?
Moment.
Well, actually, I can, because my golden nugget was going to be about flexibility and sustainability, but actually, consistency is in that equation as well. I've got like a little equation in my head.
Right, tell us the equation.
Consistency, just to cover that word, consistency isn't every single day. Consistency is a repeated pattern that works for you. Now, that could be 2 times a week, 3 times a week. It could be every Monday. It could be every Wednesday. Whatever consistency is for you, that is it. It's not every day at the same time doing the same thing. Yeah. Plus, consistency can get boring. And if you don't have consistency, if you've got too much consistency, if it's too routine, a lot of people don't like that, especially if you're neurodiverse. You want routine, but you also want spontaneity. So it's about having different things in the bag. So consistency is important, but it's not the be all and the end all.
Yeah.
What is having the ability to be flexible. So if you've got consistency plus flexibility, you get sustainability. That is my equation. And sustainability is the thing that we want. So being flexible is not going, I can't be bothered. It's going, I can't manage that today, but I can push it to tomorrow. So you're still consistent because you've still completed the task, but you've been flexible. You've not shamed yourself. You've not beat yourself up over it. And then the habit or the routine or whatever it is you're trying to achieve is still attainable because it's sustainable.
You come back to it. You bounce back to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I have a few non-negotiables. So I try not go more than 3 days without a workout, because if I go beyond 3 days, I'm going to find it even harder to get back into it. I do try and do things, some consistent things. Like I try and walk the dogs every single day, obviously, because they're dogs that need it.
Yeah.
But on Monday, because I was so poorly, I didn't take them. But that's not the end of the world, because I know I'm generally consistent elsewhere, but I needed to be flexible that day, but it'll still be sustainable. That habit will still be a thing.
It's not like you've said, right, I'm not doing it today. I'm never going to do it again.
Bother. Exactly. And that's it. I think some people kind of go, if I've not done it every day, I can't create a habit. And that's one of the biggest myths with habits. It takes 28 days to build or break a habit. No, it doesn't. There's research that shows you can make a habit in as little as about 12 days. But also, it can take as many as 297 days, which is almost a year. So it really does depend on what your routine is, what your consistency is, what your, flexibility is on that, what your goals are for that, and how you're
and how much it means to you as well.
Exactly. And some people don't have a why. Some people just want to do it because they've got to. So, some people come to me and go, I want to be part of the 5 a.m. club. Why do you want to be part of the 5 a.m. club? Oh, well, because I've read. Yeah, but do you really want to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning? Do you really want to be doing that? No. So why don't we do the 5 p.m. club and we'll do everything at 5 p.m. rather than 5 a.m. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just finding what works for you, because if it doesn't work for you, you're not going to be consistent, you're not going to be flexible, and it's not going to be sustainable. And a lot of what I'm doing is these are not quick fixes. I'm not a quick fix coach. Yes, you might see changes in a short period of time, but unless you're willing to be consistent, flexible, you are not going to get the sustainability, and we're not going to get that longevity that I've spoken about. about being able to live our lives independently, about being able to have stress-free, a lifestyle that we want. People don't want stress, people want easy, and they want peaceful, and they want calm, they don't want chaos and clutter, and I'm talking mentally and physically. We want these things to be like nice and calm and easy to do. We've all been through a lot. We don't want to go through it more than we need to. Do you know what I mean? And there's going to be challenges, and this is why the flexibility is important, because like I said, I was poorly on Monday. There's going to be something that pops up. Life always happens. There's always something that happens. And you've got to be able to, I'm not saying avoid it. You can't avoid it, because those things happen to make us bigger, better, greater, stronger, more resilient, whatever it is. But, once you've gone through that, it's then being able to go, well, I know where I'm starting from now, because I'm starting from experience. I'm not starting from scratch. And it's putting that confidence back into yourself to go, right, I've had a bit of a wobble. This has been a bit difficult. I've not managed to do this because of whatever. Figure out why. Is it something external? Is it something internal? Work on that whilst then moving yourself forward. And that's what this is all about.
And that is open and available to every single person. It doesn't matter where you're from, how much you've got in the bank account, what your gender is, what your abilities are. It does not matter your education. Everybody has this human construct and this ability to make things better. I personally call it betterment, because I think it kind of encapsulates every kind of aspect of your life. And as a human being, there is the possibility of betterment, and it doesn't matter what level you're at. You could be the most depressed. As long as there's a breath in your body, there's always a tiny little thing that you can do. The hardest thing is figuring out what that first step is going to be, because once you've taken that first step, it's so much easier to take the second step. I am absolutely passionate about this as well. I know it's conversations that we have in real life as well as theoretical life as well. We do chew the fat about this quite a lot, and we do help each other in our businesses, and that's why I love you so much. And the fact that you make cake is an absolute bonus.
Obviously.
I should do it again. I can't do that on mine. I won't do it on mine. I wonder if I can make some pineapples. We're very pineapple heavy today. Got pineapple earrings and got pineapples in the background. Yeah.
Pineapple would be like this. I don't know.
A pineapple. I wonder if sign language. Do you do sign language?
Is that what it is?
I don't know. I don't know sign language.
No. I can do the alphabet in sign language, like Makaton, but I can't. I would love to learn sign language. Honestly, it's been something I've wanted to learn for such a long time. Like, it's weird that you've said that.
Stick it on your bucket list.
It's something that I'd love to learn. I used to go to the school of the College for the Deaf where I live and play basketball there. And I used to play basketball with some hard of hearing and deaf people. And I'd love to be able to do. I think sign language should be in primary schools. That's a separate rant. But yeah, I think it should be in all schools personally.
Yeah. I think it is something that they're looking at and bringing into a lot of schools. They are. Anyway. I was going to say, we've already talked about your accountability group, which is absolutely brilliant. It's not in your face or anything like that. It's a great way to kind of, make connections of like-minded people and celebrate each other and remind each other how blooming awesome everybody is. What are other ways that people can work with you? I know you mentioned it at the beginning. You do a lot of one-to-one coaching. What would that look like?
So there's different kinds of packages, I suppose, offers you can come into. So there's one that's like a 12-week program where we work through things for 12 weeks. We'd have regular calls, there'd be regular goal setting, contact, things like that, WhatsApp messages.
And what kind of things would they work on?
Oh, well, kind of like, because it's a whole lifestyle approach, literally anything that comes up. So, if you are having wobbles about your mindset, we'd look at what's going off. If you are finding it really hard to get organized, we'd look at ways you can organize more. We could help write lists. We could help, set some trackers in place where you can track your progress. If you wanted to do like more nutrition or mix up the food, we can look at different food we can eat. If you wanted to move your body more, we'd look at movement and ways you could increase your overall body movement. And the stuff behind this would all be explained in terms of like the importance of it and how to do it and all that kind of stuff as well. I do look at spirituality as well. I'm quite a spiritual person. And we could work with our intuition if that's something that people wanted. It's none of this is forced on anybody. It really depends on what people bring, and then we find the path that we need to get them in, where they want to go. And it could change. 1 week we could be looking at food. Next week we could be looking at your relationship with your children. One week we could, I even help parents sometimes with, because my children have all gone through recent assessments, and I've worked in the education system for a very long time, doing behavior outreach, mental health, actually teaching classes. I've done a whole array of different things in school. I have helped parents know what to ask for in terms of getting support for the children. So there's a lot of things in my toolkit, I suppose, that I kind of forget I've got sometimes.
You've got big toolkits that's like a great big cabinet.
Yeah, exactly. And you open more drawers and there's more little pockets that you think, oh yeah, I know that too. But yeah, it's so there's a lot of that. It really is. If something comes up, and there's in between support with that. Like I mentioned, if it's more about, more just kind of physically getting your body moving, there's the fitness options that are kind of, a separate thing. If you just wanted accountability, there's an offer for that. Or if you just want to be in the group or follow the pages, that's right as well. I do release a few free calls every month. They're called a Brew with Bree, because my name auto-corrects to brew quite a lot. And I do love a good cup of tea. I am a bit of a tea belly. So yeah, there's the option to jump onto some of them when they come out. I think I've got, what date we're in now? I think I've got 3 left for March.
We're not in March. When this goes out, we're not in March.
Oh, when are we?
I'm not sure.
No, yeah. Well, regardless, look on my Facebook socials and I'll be releasing. I keep forgetting, sorry. And I'll be releasing those if you want to jump on a call, or come on to my, like I know Michelle said she put the socials down at the bottom.
Yeah, so, it's a no obligation call as well. It's just
it's just a free half an hour chat, just to see, just to have a chat with somebody, chat with me and find out kind of what's going on. There's absolutely no obligation at all.
And getting an idea of if somebody did work with you, what that would actually look like.
I mean, we can tackle something literally on that call. I do the free ones because I want to try and help as many people as I can. And that's just an option for some people who don't maybe otherwise have other options. So yeah,
one to watch you are, Bree Fox. One to watch. Not only have you got an epic name, that you've got an absolutely epic point of view and an epic approach to life that very closely mirrors mine. Although we're very, very, very different people. It's been absolutely fabulous to speak to you. And I cannot wait to squish you very soon. I know we're going to get lots of squishy opportunities and squishy opportunities. And I'm expecting big cake for this. Big cake. That's what I want. Big cake. Yeah. Oh, you're going to be going on my birthday with me, aren't you?
I am. Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be epic. That is going to be awesome.
Along with everything else. Thank you so much for being an amazing guest.
Thank you for having me.
Eat your other backup cake, and I shall speak to you very, very soon.
Bye.
That was the fabulous Bree Fox, one of my bestest friends in the whole wide world. I absolutely love her to pieces. Now, one of the things that I wanted to tell you about today, about what we've got going on in the Happy Business Club, is something that we've been doing for quite a while. It's a monthly free digital magazine called the Happy Business Express, and it's a community magazine. So if you haven't already heard of it, I'll tell you a little bit about it now, and you can jump all over it. We've got 2 ways. First one, you can subscribe just to receive the magazine every month. It's full of lots of small business owners telling their stories, giving their hints and tips, and telling you about their journeys in business. And it shows you a little bit about who they are as a person behind that business. And it makes it really easy for you to connect with the right kind of people, your kind of people, so that you can have a better business journey yourself. The other way of doing it is actually getting in the magazine yourself. So if you've ever fancied yourself as a writer, or you are a writer and you'd like to get in front of more people, this might be a really good way of you being able to put your heart on the page, your great big smile on the page as well, and putting it out into the world for everybody to see, and everybody to give everybody the chance to get to know you. So if you're interested in either subscribing or coming on as a writer, you're very welcome to do that. All you need to do is click on the link below under my name. We've got some links in there for Bree as well. And hopefully I'll get to see your lovely little face in our magazine very, very soon. So until next time, I love you lots. See ya.